So, I want you to picture this. You're standing in line at a busy coffee shop.
Oh, yeah, I know where this is going.
Right. So you finally get to the front, and the barista looks at you, smiles, and asks just a completely simple, everyday question.
Like, what kind of milk you want?
Exactly. Or, if you need a receipt. And suddenly your brain just completely short circuits. You freeze.
Yeah, that classic deer in the headlights feeling.
Yes. And the crazy part is, it's not a vocabulary issue. You know the words, right? You know the grammar. But in that exact high pressure micro moment, you just don't know how to respond naturally.
Right, and it happens to almost everyone learning a second language, even folks who have studied for years.
Yeah, people with perfect reading scores.
Exactly. They have excellent reading or writing comprehension, but the structural mechanics are there,
Yeah.
but the real-time social fluidity is just, it's entirely missing.
And that friction, that exact feeling, is what we're unpacking today on this deep dive.
It's a great topic.
Yeah, we're looking at some really fascinating linguistic analysis. And this source material isolates 9 specific conversational phrases that native English speakers use just, well, almost entirely on autopilot.
Right, without even thinking about it.
Exactly. And our mission today is to figure out why perfectly correct grammar isn't enough to keep you from sounding stiff.
Because it really isn't.
No, it's not. And we want to see how mastering these 9 specific phrases acts as this sort of social glue.
Social glue, I like that.
Yeah, well, I keep thinking about it in terms of construction, actually.
Okay, how so?
Well, if grammar and vocabulary are like the solid bricks of a building, these 9 phrases are the mortar.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Right. Like they don't bear the structural weight of the sentence, but without them, the bricks just sit there. They're rigid and, prone to just falling over.
That mortar analogy it's spot on, because when we look at how language actually functions in the real world, a lot of learners tend to use perfectly correct English that, ironically, it sounds robotic.
Or even a bit abrasive sometimes.
Yes, exactly, because it sounds stiff. It's simply too formal for casual dialogue.
Right.
So going back to your analogy, a brick wall without mortar, I mean, it's structurally sound on paper, sure.
Yeah, theoretically.
But in a real environment, it lacks the flexibility to withstand, wind or shifting ground. And in a conversation, that wind is human emotion.
Oh, that's good. Human emotion and just unpredictability.
Exactly. You need the mortar to absorb that stress.
Okay, so we need to shift our mindset from the boardroom to the coffee shop.
Yes.
Let's look at the first big contrast the research points out. The difference between saying, I understand, versus that makes sense.
Right. Which, on paper, they mean exactly the same thing.
Totally. But conversation isn't just an exchange of data, is it?
No, not at all. It's this constant negotiation of social standing and connection. So think about the phrase, I understand.
Okay.
When you say that, you are technically conveying comprehension, but it is purely transactional.
Yeah, it feels really sterile.
It does. It's what you say when, like, a manager hands you a list of compliance rules.
Right. Like, I understand the terms of this contract.
Exactly.
It doesn't leave any room for a relationship. It almost feels like a way to shut the conversation down entirely.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It closes the loop. There's nowhere else to go. But when you swap that out for that makes sense, the underlying psychology of the whole interaction shifts.
Because it's warmer.
Very much so.
Yeah.
That makes sense as relational. It signals not just that you comprehend the words, but that you're validating the other person's logic.
Oh, validating. I like it.
Yeah, you're essentially telling them, I see the path your brain took to get to this conclusion, and I agree with it.
Right.
So it bridges that gap between simple comprehension and active validation.
It's collaborative. You're sort of building the idea together rather than just passively receiving an order.
Exactly.
But, okay, what happens when the opposite is true? Because, one of the most stressful parts of speaking a new language is when you genuinely just do not get what the other person is saying.
Oh, absolutely. The panic sets in.
Right. And the instinctive response is just to blurt out, I don't understand.
And, that instinct makes complete sense. You're trying to communicate a fact. But socially, it creates a massive hurdle.
Why is that?
Well, saying I don't understand can feel incredibly abrupt. In sociolinguistics, there's this concept called face-saving.
Face-saving, okay.
Yeah, basically, we all want to maintain our dignity or our face in a social interaction. We don't want to look foolish.
Nobody likes looking foolish.
Right. So when you say I don't understand, it often threatens both your face and the speaker's face.
Oh, I see. Because it places blame. Like, it's either I'm too slow to get it or you're really bad at explaining it.
Exactly. It creates this sudden, really awkward halt. And it places the burden of communication squarely on the other person to somehow, fix the breakdown.
Right. You're making it their problem.
Yeah. But the alternative phrase here is, I'm not sure I follow,
I'm not sure I follow. Yeah, that feels noticeably softer.
because it shares the burden. I'm not sure I follow X is a polite, gentle invitation.
Mm.
You are still signaling that you're lost, but you're framing it as a mutual journey.
Like we're in this together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're saying, we're walking down this path together, and I just took a wrong turn. Can you guide me back?
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
It removes that subtle accusation of, you explained this poorly.
Yeah.
And instead, it invites the speaker to rephrase without putting them on the defensive.
I can definitely see that. But I do have to wonder, don't native speakers ever just say, I don't understand?
Well, sure.
I mean, it seems like sometimes you just don't have time for the whole conversational dance and you just need the direct route.
It's true. Context matters. And in an emergency, directness is absolutely key.
Right, like if the building is on fire.
Yes, exactly. But the source material confirms that in casual, everyday interaction, even native speakers rely heavily on phrases like, I'm not sure I follow.
Even natively.
Yes. They aren't doing it to be overly formal. They do it because lowering the conversational friction is almost always more efficient in the long run.
Oh, that makes sense. Because if you make someone defensive, the conversation just takes twice as long to resolve anyway.
Exactly. I'm not sure I follow shows active listening, which keeps the other person relaxed and engaged.
That makes total sense. So we're really talking about the emotional weight of words here.
Very much so.
It's not just about what is being said, but how the listener's brain is physically processing it, which brings up this next concept in our deep dive about cushioning our speech.
The softwares.
Yeah, especially when we have to disagree. So take the phrase, to be honest.
Ah, yes. To be honest functions as a preamble, a conversational cushion.
Okay.
Because when we introduce an opposing opinion, the listener's brain naturally registers a micro level of threat.
Really? Like a biological response?
Yes, their amygdala sparks a little bit.
Yeah.
It's an instinctive defense mechanism.
Wow.
So if someone says, I really loved that new sci-fi movie, and you immediately reply, I didn't like it.
Oh, yeah, that feels like a blunt rejection of their taste.
It is. It's jarring.
It's like you're telling them their opinion is just objectively wrong.
Right. But if you preface it by saying, to be honest, I didn't really like it, you completely transform the delivery.
Just with those 3 words.
Just those 3 words. You are giving their brain a tiny half-second warning that a divergence in opinion is coming.
Oh, it's a warning system.
Exactly. It frames your disagreement not as an attack on their taste, but as a vulnerable sharing of your own genuine feelings.
Oh, that's really subtle, but super powerful. It preserves the harmony of the interaction because you're signaling that the relationship is safe, even if the opinions differ.
That's perfectly said.
It's just fascinating how a 3-word phrase acts as a neurological shock absorber.
I love that phrase, neurological shock absorber.
Thanks. And that connects to another word that does a lot of heavy lifting, which is actually.
Ah, actually. It is a highly effective tool for reframing a correction.
Okay, lay it on me.
So imagine a colleague tells you, the client presentation is at 3 o'clock. If you just say, the presentation's at 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
you sound aggressive.
Yeah, you really do.
It's a direct confrontation of their reality.
You sound like you're scolding them, honestly. But I'll admit, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the word actually.
Oh, why is that?
Well, I feel like on the internet, the quote-unquote well actually guy is this huge negative trope.
Right, right.
It can sound a bit pedantic, right? Like you're just excited to prove someone wrong.
That is a very fair point, and tone of voice is the differentiator there.
Okay.
If you stress the word and pause, well, actually, then yes, it sounds arrogant.
Yeah, that's the guy.
But in fluid, natural speech, it operates very differently. If you say, oh, actually, the presentation is at 2, and you deliver it with a helpful, light tone, it completely cushions the correction.
Because it's casual.
Yes. It shifts your posture from, I am correcting your mistake, to, I am sharing an updated piece of information with you.
Oh, I see.
You become their ally, right? Saving them from missing the meeting rather than their critic.
Yeah. So it takes you off the opposing team and puts you on the same side of the table.
Exactly.
I really like that framing. But conversation isn't just about avoiding conflict and cushioning blows. We also want to actively build rapport, right?
Absolutely.
So how do these phrases help us, like, pull people in?
Well, the most powerful tool for reciprocal engagement that they point out is the phrase, "What do you think?"
What do you think? That seems so simple.
It seems incredibly simple, but it taps into a fundamental human need, which is the need to be seen and valued.
Because it proves you aren't just, waiting for your turn to speak.
Exactly. Think about how many conversations are just two people taking turns giving monologues.
Oh, too many. Way too many.
Right. When you ask, "What do you think?" you're actively handing the reins of the interaction over to them.
It's like passing the ball in a game of catch.
Perfect analogy.
Hmm.
It lowers their cognitive load because they don't have to fight to find an entry point into the conversation.
Right, because you've explicitly invited them.
You've rolled out the red carpet for their thoughts.
And once they share those thoughts, how you receive them is just as important.
Which brings up the next phrase, "That's a good point."
Yes, that's a good point.
I feel like this is a phrase I hear highly charismatic people use constantly, like the people everyone loves talking to.
Because it is the ultimate phrase for showing respect without necessarily having to agree 100%.
Oh, interesting.
When you say, "That's a good point," you are acknowledging their contribution. You're validating the effort they put into forming their opinion.
Even if you still think they're wrong.
Even if you disagree entirely, it creates this positive reinforcement loop. Because when people feel heard, they relax.
Right.
And when they relax, they speak more naturally, and the entire conversation just flows better.
So it's a way of saying, "I see your logic," before you present your own.
Exactly.
Okay, so we figured out how to cushion disagreements and how to pull people into the dialogue. But I want to look at a specific trap that I think a lot of language learners fall into, which is vagueness.
Yes. Vagueness is a conversation killer. Right, because sometimes the answer isn't black and white. So what happens when you just say, "It depends"?
Ah, this is a critical nuance in the research.
Yeah.
If someone asks you a complex question, let's say, "Is it difficult to learn English?"
Okay.
and you just shrug and say, "It depends,"
Yeah.
you completely kill the momentum of the conversation.
Because it sounds dismissive.
It signals disengagement. It tells the other person that you either don't know or worse, you don't care enough to formulate a real answer.
Oh, right.
And it forces them to do the work of pulling the information out of you by asking follow-up questions.
So you're basically making them work too hard to keep the chat going.
Exactly. You're being socially lazy. But the dynamic changes completely when you add a single word.
Which is
On.
on, just the word on.
Just on.
Ah.
If you say, "It depends on your motivation," or "It depends on how closely related your native language is," you flip the script entirely.
Oh, because now you're showing your work.
Yes. You demonstrate cognitive engagement. You're acknowledging that the situation is complex, and you are immediately offering the variables that make it complex.
You're giving them something to grab onto.
Right. It shows you're taking their questions seriously and offering a nuanced assessment, which is highly respected in both casual and professional dialogue.
It's such a small tweak, but it completely changes how you are perceived.
Huge impact.
Now, what about when you want to avoid a topic entirely, or you just naturally remember something else you want to talk about?
Like a tangent.
Yeah, but you don't want to just abruptly change the subject and seem, I don't know, scattered.
That's where transition phrases are essential. And the phrase, by the way, is incredibly useful here.
By the way, okay.
It allows you to pivot the conversation without it feeling erratic.
Because without it, a sudden subject change can feel a bit rude. Like you weren't really listening to what was just said. You were just waiting to talk about your own thing.
Right. By the way, acts as a conversational signpost. It gently alerts the listener's brain that the topic is about to shift, so they aren't caught off guard.
It's like the blinker on a car.
A blinker. Exactly. You're telling them you're changing lanes.
Right, so nobody crashes.
Yeah.
And along with signposts, the source material talks about connection checks, like the phrase, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, I have to admit, I use this one all the time. Sometimes I catch myself using it a bit too much.
Well, it can definitely become a filler phrase if overused, like anything else.
Mm,
But when used intentionally, it serves a vital purpose.
how so?
If you are explaining a long story or a really complex idea, dropping in is a quick low-pressure check-in.
Like a checkpoint in a video game.
Exactly. It ensures the other person is still following your logic. It gives them permission to either nod along or to stop you and say, "Actually, I'm not sure I follow."
Right, it keeps the dialogue interactive instead of just being a monologue.
Yes.
Okay, so we've broken down all the theory behind all these phrases. The cushioning, the rapport building, the signposts, the checkpoints.
A mortar.
The mortar. But I think we really need to see how a lack of this social glue actually causes a conversation to break down in real life.
That's a great idea.
Let's do a role play right from the source material. Imagine two colleagues, let's say they're trying to figure out a project deadline, and one of them isn't using any of this mortar.
Okay, let's play that out. I'll be the person initiating, and you respond without any of our target phrases. Just the raw bricks.
Just the bricks. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Hey, I think we need to push the client presentation to Friday.
I don't understand. The schedule says Wednesday.
Well, we haven't finished the data analysis yet.
Will it be done by tomorrow?
It depends.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
even just pretending to do that, my stress levels honestly went up.
Right. It was exhausting.
That felt incredibly combative.
Notice the friction there.
Yeah.
When you said, I don't understand, it felt like a direct accusation.
Yeah.
It immediately put me on the defensive.
Yeah. It felt like an interrogation, not a collaboration.
And then when I answered it depends with absolutely no context, it felt like I was stonewalling you. The conversation just hit a dead end.
It really did. Okay, let's rewind and replay that exact same scenario. But this time, we'll weave in a couple of these mortar phrases to see how the temperature changes. I'll initiate this time.
Sounds good.
Okay. Hey, I think we need to push the client presentation to Friday.
I'm not sure I follow. Doesn't the schedule say Wednesday?
It does, but we haven't finished the data analysis yet. We need more time to make it perfect. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. So, will the data be ready by tomorrow?
It depends on whether IT can fix the server outage this afternoon. By the way, did you get the email about that?
Okay, let's pause right there. The difference is just night and day.
It really, really is. It felt like we were actually on the same team trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
When you use "I'm not sure I follow," it didn't feel like you were attacking my idea to move the meeting. It just felt like you needed more information.
And when you elaborated with, it depends on, you gave me the exact context I needed. The server outage.
Right, which kept the momentum going.
And then, by the way, allowed you to naturally pivot to the IT issue without it feeling like a chaotic subject change.
The structural information was exactly the same, but the social glue completely removed all the tension.
Entirely.
Okay, so knowing the theory and seeing it in action is great, but we have to acknowledge the reality for someone listening to this deep dive who is actively learning English right now.
That's a lot.
Or just trying to improve their communication skills in general,
Yeah.
memorizing 9 new phrases, understanding their psychological weight, and then deploying them in real time. I mean, that's a massive cognitive load.
It's huge.
It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
So what is the actual concrete roadmap for someone to start doing this without just freezing up?
It's a very real hurdle. When you're speaking a non-native language, your brain is already working overtime just to find the right verbs and nouns.
Right.
Trying to add social nuance on top of that can literally cause a system crash.
Yeah, that coffee shop freeze.
Exactly. That's why the roadmap, the expert's layout, is built around reducing cognitive load. You cannot try to master all 9 at once.
Okay, so where do we start?
Step 1 is simply to secure the easy wins.
Okay, what qualifies as an easy win here?
Pick the 2 phrases that require the absolute least amount of mental gymnastics, but offer the highest social reward.
Which are?
That makes sense, and what do you think?
Why those 2 specifically?
Because they don't require you to formulate a complex thought. You swap, I understand for that makes sense, you instantly sound warmer and more fluent with 0 extra grammatical effort.
Oh, that's a great point.
And asking, what do you think is the ultimate pressure release valve?
Because it deflects.
Yes. If you feel yourself freezing up or you just need a second to collect your thoughts, you just hand the conversation back to the other person.
It buys you time while simultaneously making them feel valued.
Exactly. It's brilliant.
That is incredibly practical. It's like an emergency parachute for when you get stuck. Okay, so step 1 is relying on the easy wins. What is step 2?
Step 2 involves a bit of awkwardness, but it is non-negotiable.
Okay, I'm bracing myself.
Solo rehearsal. You need to practice saying all 9 phrases out loud, alone in your room or in front of a mirror.
Oh, I feel like a lot of people will skip that because they feel silly talking to themselves.
Oh, they definitely will, and that's exactly why they will freeze at the coffee shop.
Really? It's that important.
Yes. Speaking a language isn't just a memory exercise. It's a physical motor skill function. The muscles in your mouth, your tongue, your jaw, they need to get used to stringing these specific English phones together seamlessly.
So you're literally building muscle memory.
You are. If you only practice these phrases in your head, there is a disconnect between your brain and your mouth when you're under pressure.
Right.
By saying them out loud repeatedly, you're moving the phrases from conscious recall into procedural memory.
It's like a musician practicing scales.
Perfect analogy, yes.
You do it over and over alone so that when you're on stage, your fingers just know where to go without you having to think about it.
Precisely. You want the words to fall out of your mouth naturally, and once you have that muscle memory, you move to the final step,
It is
the real-world challenge.
the ultimate test.
But we frame it to lower the stakes, right? Commit to using exactly 3 of these phrases tomorrow in a real conversation.
Just 3.
Just 3. It could be at work, at school, or just ordering food. But the key is to treat it like a social experiment. Don't worry about being perfectly fluent. Just drop the phrase in, say that's a good point, and then just observe the other person.
Oh, like watch how their posture changes.
Exactly. Watch how the tension leaves their shoulders. When you turn it into an observation, it shifts your focus away from your own anxiety and outward toward the connection you're building.
It makes it a game instead of a test.
Yes, exactly.
I think that shift in perspective is everything.
It really helps.
So let's tie this all together. What we've really explored today is the idea that true fluency isn't about perfectly reciting a dictionary.
No,
If you just have the bricks, you just have a pile of rigid information. Fluency is about the mortar. It's about this conversational glue that lowers friction, shares the burden of understanding, and makes human interaction collaborative rather than transactional.
It's the transition from merely exchanging data to actually connecting with someone. And, while we've analyzed this through the lens of learning English, I think it raises a much larger, frankly, fascinating question for all of us based on the source material.
I'm intrigued. What's the final takeaway?
Think about the mechanics we just discussed. If these tiny conversational softeners and bridges are this effective, if just adding the word actually or saying to be honest can completely diffuse a defensive reaction and build genuine respect,
Yeah.
how much conflict could we avoid, and how much could we improve our relationships if we deliberately started using this mortar more often in our own native languages?
Wow. That is a brilliant point. We take our native languages for granted so often that we forget to use the glue.
We really do.
We just sort of throw the bricks at each other and then wonder why the wall collapses.
That's exactly it.
It's a powerful reminder that whether you're learning a new language or speaking the one you've known your whole life, communication is always a shared responsibility.
It's a two-way street.
Definitely something to mull over the next time you're standing at that coffee shop counter.
For sure.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Go out there and start building better conversations.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on one incredibly powerful goal: 9 ways to sound fluent. We're going to uncover the essential everyday phrases that bridge that super frustrating gap between just knowing textbook grammar and actually having natural, effortless conversational fluency. So if you've ever felt like your English is technically correct, but it's just kind of lacking that natural rhythm, well, you're in the exact right place. So let's quickly look at our roadmap for today. We've got 5 sections: the conversational freeze, connecting and checking in, softening your honest opinions, keeping the conversation alive, and we'll wrap up with your daily fluency challenge. Grouping it this way makes it super easy to learn and apply right away. All right, diving right into section 1, the conversational freeze. Before we get to the actual phrases, we kind of need to talk about this extremely common, super frustrating hurdle. Picture this, right? You're at a local coffee shop. You know all the English vocabulary perfectly. You know how to order, you've got the grammar down cold, but suddenly the barista asks you something just a little bit off script, and you completely freeze up. You literally don't know what to say in that exact split second. It's not that your English is bad, it's just a lack of conversational reflexes. As May pointed out in our source material, sometimes I know the words, but the conversation still feels a little stiff. And that hits the nail on the head. The problem isn't your skill level, it's that the interaction feels rigid. You're searching your brain for this perfect textbook response, when all you actually need is just a natural human reaction. So, what's missing? Well, our source beautifully calls this conversational glue. These are those natural, everyday phrases that fluent speakers just spit out automatically. They aren't fancy grammar rules, right? They're literally the connective tissue that brings a chat to life, making it feel warm and engaging, instead of like you're taking a pop quiz. Okay, moving on to section 2, connecting and checking in. Let's look at our first bucket of phrases, which act as warm conversational bridges. You know what I mean. This is a classic connection phrase. You basically use it to check that the person you're talking to is still following your train of thought. It acts like a little conversational checkpoint. And when you use it, you're actively pulling your listener in, making sure you're talking with them, not just at them. Now check this out, because this is a real game changer. Swapping the stiff textbook "I understand" for our second phrase, "that makes sense," instantly shifts the whole vibe. It takes a conversation from feeling like a rigid boardroom meeting straight to a relaxed chat over coffee. It shows you're engaged and you agree, but in a really natural way. And hey, if you are genuinely lost in a conversation, ditch that harsh, sometimes awkward "I don't understand." Instead, try our third phrase, "I'm not sure I follow." It's so much better. It elegantly invites the other person to explain their point again, but it does it gently, politely, and without making anyone feel embarrassed. Honestly, native speakers use this one constantly. All right, let's slide right into section 3, softening your honest opinions. Sometimes you gotta share real thoughts without sounding too blunt, right? When you need that gentle softener, you're gonna want our fourth phrase, "to be honest." If someone expects you to agree with them, but you actually kinda don't, dropping this phrase first prepares the listener for your true opinion. It signals you're about to be real with them. It makes you sound mature and thoughtful rather than rude. Plus, while saying just honestly is a bit quick and casual, "to be honest" gives you a really nice, thoughtful conversational cushion. Phrase number 5 is the incredibly smart "it depends." Because, real life isn't black and white. Saying "it depends" legitimately buys you a second to think. But, and this is absolutely crucial, you must always follow it up with "it depends on" to show your thought process. Like, "it depends on the weather," or "it depends on my schedule." It shows you're analyzing the situation, not just confused. And this sets up the sheer power of our sixth phrase. Actually, this word is the ultimate conversational shock absorber. Our source highlights 3 huge uses for it. You can use it to gently correct someone, to introduce a little plot twist, like "actually, I used to live there," or to safely soften a disagreement. It makes correcting someone sound like you're just happily sharing a fun fact instead of starting an argument. Let's shift gears into section 4, keeping the conversation alive. These next phrases are completely designed to keep the momentum going. So when you need to bring up a brand new topic, phrase number 7, by the way, is your best friend. It lets you introduce something that literally just popped into your head without making the chat feel super choppy. Think of it like a smooth gear change in a manual car. It gives your listener a tiny heads up that you're shifting directions, which keeps them totally engaged. Now, phrase number 8 is the ultimate conversation keeper. What do you think? Asking this takes all that conversational energy and passes it straight back to your listener. It turns a monologue right back into a two-way street. Even if you're totally out of things to say, just asking this makes the other person feel incredibly valued. And to round out our 9 phrases, we have the pure magic of "that's a good point." As the source material points out, this basically says to the other person, "I see you." It instantly validates their idea, shows a ton of respect, and just positively moves everything forward. You don't even have to completely agree with them. You can say, "that's a good point, although I also think," which is just a brilliant way to build on the chat collaboratively. Okay, finally, section 5, your daily fluency challenge. Let's make all of this highly actionable for you. Here is your rapid recap of the 9 vital pieces of conversational glue we've unpacked today. From pulling people in with "you know what I mean" to keeping the energy flowing with "that's a good point, these are the literal tools that hold a fluent English conversation together. So your challenge, drawn straight from our source hosts Jay and May, is delightfully simple. Step 1, just pick 3 of these phrases. Seriously, start with easy wins like "that makes sense" and "what do you think?" Step 2, actually test them out tomorrow in a real conversation. At work, at school, the grocery store, wherever. And step 3, watch closely and see how people respond to your new, natural tone. Because as our source reminds us, these aren't some heavily guarded secrets, right? They're just the automatic habits of fluent speakers. They simply take a tiny bit of courage to practice, because small steps lead to big confidence. Once you start using them on purpose, I promise, they're going to become completely automatic for you too. So to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Which of these 9 phrases are you going to use first to totally transform your conversations tomorrow? Pick one right now, step out of that comfort zone, and start applying that fluency glue. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and happy practicing.